I wonder sometimes, though, not to be negative, but sometimes like I wonder when I hear these things, I'll hear people, this goes back like years ago, seen in like magazines and stuff, people talk about, oh, I progress, I set a PR every workout. And what they really mean is that they're doing something different every workout, and so it's a PR in that sense. So it's technically true, but it's like you're not really, it's I don't want to say deceiving, but it's not showing the whole picture. And so I would wonder, yeah, and like even when I look back at my own training, I really only made muscle gains when I made like legitimate strength gains. So what I mean is, let's say I was doing, I measured my arms and I was curling, let's say, I don't know, 80 pounds for 10 reps, right? If I were then to switch to, like, let's say that was a barbell curl, and then I switched to dumbbells and I was doing, 35 pounds for 10 reps. And over some amount of weeks, I got that up to 40-pound dumbbells for 10 weeks, or for 10 reps. A lot of that progression was because I switched to a new exercise and I got used to doing it, right? So if I then switched back to the barbell and I was still doing 80 for 10 reps, I could pretty much guarantee that my arms wouldn't have grown because I really wasn't getting truly stronger. I was getting better at the exercise, right? And so that's just my experience with it, is that I could switch exercises from one to the next and make progress on that exercise. But I think a large part of that progress was neurological and getting used to it and not truly gaining muscle. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, in fact, I want to say that I'm pretty sure that Dr. Z out in Florida, Mike Zerdos, for those that don't know who Dr. Z is, he oversaw Eric's PhD. And I think that he presented some very compelling evidence that showed that changing to new exercises that you're not good at, not only is deceiving as far as progression goes, like you showed, or like you just talked about, but that actual like muscle and increases in muscle strength were halted.
Yeah.
And so if we know, okay, well, the body's direct response to weight training is we get stronger, right? A lot of people have that backwards. They think, oh, well, I'm going to train with weights, I'm going to get big muscles. No.
Yeah.
You train with weights, you get stronger. The muscles get bigger as a byproduct. So if we have this evidence that kind of shows, okay, you change to a new exercise, you don't get stronger at that exercise. You get better at it.
Right.
Especially if it's a complex exercise.
Right.
Now, guys like you and I, if we switched from a hammer curl to a bicep curl, how technically different are those exercises? Not, right? Yeah. And so you can get away with that, especially the more advanced that you are as a lifter and the more of a repertoire that you have.
Right, you've already kind of developed that neurological efficiency.
Exactly. But kind of what you're talking about, folks that are fooling themselves into thinking, oh, well, I'm progressing by switching to these different exercises each and every time. Look at my numbers. They're going up every single time. Well, you know what? We kind of know now that you're getting better at that exercise. You're not actually getting stronger at it. You're developing the skill of using a safety bar squat, like I had to kind of switch to, right?
Right.
Or you're developing the skill of doing a different style of deadlift or something like that. Now, obviously, the trump card is injury. If you're injured, you've got to do what you've got to do to keep training, and you're going to have to go to an exercise that doesn't hurt.
Right.
But you can save yourself a lot of time and headache if you make that change and then stick with it. Stick with it. Get good at that exercise, which sometimes, depending on how new you are to that exercise, shoot, that can sometimes take 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I think even Dr. Z's evidence showed that sometimes it can take as long as 6 weeks to actually get good at a complex exercise, to where the increases in load that you're putting on the bar or the increases in volume that you're getting are actual strength increases and not just you getting good at that exercise again. So yeah, that's kind of the moral of the story, is once you decide to go to that exercise, stick with it. Get good at that exercise.
Yeah.
and then reap the benefits from it.
Right.
So that was kind of long-winded, I know, but
Well, I
it's
think
very
yeah, I think it's an important point because I see a lot of people who, you know, I'm not going to name any names, but they'll say year after year, you'll see them on YouTube and stuff where they talk about how much they're progressing. They'll say this is the biggest I've ever been, and they might have progressed a little bit. I'm not trying to say nobody ever makes progress, but they look at it and they say, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I've switched to this exercise. And I think when most people objectively look at them, it's like, well, no, you kind of look like you did years ago. I mean, even some of my friends will see me, saw me recently, and I haven't seen them in like a year or two. And they saw me with my shirt off after a workout, and they're like, oh man, like this is the best you've ever looked. This is like the biggest you've ever been. And I was like, it's really not. Like my measurements are the same, my strength is the same, my weight is the same, everything is the same. I probably just look like I have a good pump and good lighting or something, you know. But like I know if I haven't gotten stronger and my measurements are the same, there really hasn't been that much that's been happening. And you know, that's just how it is after 15 years. You know, you can fool. I mean, I guess it could be, you know, ignorance is bliss. It could be nice to fool yourself into, you know, maybe you'll be happier thinking you're making all this progress. But I have a hard time trying to just like deceive myself like that. You know, if I know it, you know, what I've tried to do is find other reasons to stay involved with it, you know, rather than try to kid myself and think, yeah, man, I probably 5 pounds of muscle this past year. It's like, no, I probably have a very similar amount of muscle as I did 3 or 4 years ago, but try to get some other enjoyment. And I think when you're competing, which I'm not competing, but I think when you compete, it does add another level to it. You know, if you look at Jeff again, how much muscle has Jeff really put on in the last 5, maybe even 10 years? I don't know, but I would imagine it's not a lot, but he's seems to psychologically gotten better at competing. You know, he seems to be enjoying the process more. Maybe he comes in a little bit leaner, and that's a form of progress itself. You know, if it's one more vein that you can see this year, if you're 48 years old and you've been doing this for 25 years, that's progress. You know, that's a new thing. So I think you got to change your view a little bit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, we're just kind of generally talking about progress here, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so hard to, like you said, to quantify. Yes, I am bigger. Yes, I am looking bigger. Yes, I've got bigger muscles. You know, it's really hard to quantify that because at a certain point, you're really not going to get any bigger. But that doesn't mean that you're not growing, you know, new muscle and that you're not changing. You know what I mean? And the way that I kind of, the way that I explain this in kind of as best I can in layman's terms is look at, you know, competitors who have like a good 5 or 10 years in the gym. Okay. And I'm talking bodybuilders that have been training hard for 5 or 10 years. Usually by that time they look great. You know, they probably even won a show or two. But then you take that person's like twin or even that person themselves and tack on another, you know, 10 years on there so that now they've been like 10, 20 years in the gym. They may not look any bigger, but their physique looks dramatically different. They've gone from what usually is kind of like smooth muscle. You know, we call it baby muscle when they've only had about 5 or 10 years in the gym. And then you take that same competitor, you know, 10 more years down the gym, that smooth muscle is marbly and hard and just grainy looking. And that's what we call the old man muscle. You know what I mean? People don't
muscle
realize
maturity.
Exactly. It takes, you have to be adding like milligrams and grams of muscle to those muscle bellies in order to go from that baby muscle to that hard grainy muscle. You know what I mean? Because I mean, even Jeff, he posts up pictures all the time of him when he was in his early heyday of competing, and then you know, pictures of him now. And a lot of times, arguably, you look at him, he's roughly the same size, right? Because he's such a sensitive responder to weight training. I mean, that dude just probably started growing muscle the moment that he picked up a 5-pound dumbbell. You know, you look at the quality of that muscle, and you look at how hard and grainy that muscle is now. You know, compared to 2002. You know, compared to 95, 94 when he was starting to, you know, really reap the benefits of those newbie gains. That muscle looks dramatically different. It looks arguably it's probably still the same size, maybe a hair bigger. But man, does it look so much different, you know. And
Do
I
you
can
think
kind of
that has to do with
myself.
getting leaner, or it's its own, or something about the muscle quality
I think
itself?
the muscle quality actually gets denser. I really do. Now, do I
Yeah.
have evidence for that, or do we even have evidence for that? I don't think so.
Mhm.
How can you possibly do that? You know, taking a cross-sectional diameter of the muscle is not going to reveal those minute changes in the quality of muscle. You know what I mean?